Giving and receiving feedback for me.
Very good. Thank you, Nandi. Please write everyone on the chat box. Once you have learned group coaching.
Teamwork.
Okay, teamwork. Please write on the chat box as well. So when you've learned group coaching, what would be the topic you will be coaching the group on? And let me also give you a little bit of a hint here. You may be doing something that you do currently, and you're taking that to group coaching. So for example, I know a lot of you are into marketing, branding, HR. You probably can pick any of that topic and create a group coaching program out of that. So let me see, group communication issues, emotional skills. Okay, but if I want to suggest, we'll choose negotiation skills and how to communicate. Okay, internal mission, vision, alignment, business planning as a private coach, healthy lifestyle, corporate culture, emotional intelligence, team spirit, communication skills. Very good. Am I getting more? Coaching for leaders. Very good. Now, when you say coaching for leaders, be specific there. Coaching for leadership or coaching leaders for what? So it has to be specific topic. Yeah. For example, giving and receiving feedback is very specific topic. Somebody has written there. Positive communication, still very narrowed topic. So coaching leaders on how to lead others. Okay, very good. Personal effectiveness, the power of working in a group, building the second line of leadership delegation. Very good. So let me share my screen and show you something. So first of all, what is group coaching, or what is, so we know what is coaching, we know what is team coaching. If you don't know, it's here, but what is group coaching? So ICF defines group coaching is partnering with a group of individuals who share a common interest, learning experience, or skill, where the coach and other group members offer support and inspiration to maximize individual abilities and potential. So I will be stopping to share a screen sometimes. So if you're writing or want to take a picture, you can do that. And I can probably share the presentation later on the Facebook group as well. So you don't have to worry in writing everything. So now what is the difference between training and group coaching? Who would like to share? What's the difference between training and group coaching?
Yes, Harith. Training is to give them some information and to explain some information and delivering it to them. Maybe they can practice also, do some exercises, whereas coaching, you only ask the powerful questions and then you're on the session.
Okay, so, all right, thank you. Salma?
Hi, Iris. How are you?
Good.
Yes, so training is for an individual skill that you develop for yourself. Team coaching is working in a group and dynamics and how to maximize the achievement as a group.
Okay, that's more of a team coaching, right? The group coaching and the training, you're right on team coaching. That's what it is. But if you say group coaching and training, what is the difference? Go ahead, Rola.
The training is a skill transfer process whereby you are there and you're giving the skills to the entire group. Whereby coaching is you are a facilitator and you are a coach at the same time. So I think maybe facilitator is like 50-60% and coaching the balance. And so the people come and talk about a common goal, and you are there to facilitate and coach them.
Right,
And
right.
to transfer the skill.
Absolutely. So one difference, thank you, Rola, for that. And thank you, Nandita, for writing in the chat box, and Fatima. One thing, how should you sell group coaching and how you should understand group coaching is training is an event that happens for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days and gets over. Whereas team and group coaching is a series of events for a desired result. So what happens, I come as a trainer, I deliver what I have to deliver, and I say goodbye, and I never see you back. Yeah, or I may see you, but not really accountable to training you further. But in group coaching, it's a sequences of events where we partner for the result. And since we are checking in at a regular interval of time, the progress and accountability is in place in group coaching, whereas training lacks that. Training most of the time lacks the accountability, but group coaching includes accountability. So that's one difference for us to understand. And that's how corporate buys. Corporate would want to hear what's the benefit of hiring you as a group coach rather than hiring a trainer. So you tell them that if you hire a coach, we're going to plan it for 6 months or 4 months or 5 months or 3 months, and we're going to check in for accountability. We're going to check in for the result, and we're going to see the outcome. Whereas a trainer, I'm going to come, deliver, go and buy. So I don't know how you people are applying. Are they progressing? Are they not progressing? So this is one difference. Are we good with that? Yeah. Now, what is a group and what's a team? What is the difference between them? How do you differentiate between a group? How do you differentiate between teams?
Harris, if I may?
Yeah.
If I look at a team, I think a team is they working on a specific task, whereas a group is working on multiple tasks, basically.
They both can work on specific or multiple tasks. But they will, the difference will be that they will take it to one organization, whereas a group may take wherever, to a larger system or wherever they belong to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I generally give this example that, let's say a woman walking on the road and somebody comes and snatches her purse and runs away. Now what happens? She shouts, she says, help, 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 and people around, they all start to run. Does that happen to help her? And when they all were there, before she said help, there were groups at multiple, there were smaller groups which were there around her, but they all became a team all of a sudden when she said help, and they all started running. Does that make sense now? So a group, they were doing what they were doing, different tasks, different interests, different areas, whatever, yeah? But now they all became a team running for one task, which is to get that purse back. So team has got one task, they all run for it. Yeah, and group will be probably more in silos and they do not have a common goal, right, Fatma? So they don't have probably a common, Fahima, they don't have a shared common purpose or goal. Yeah. Now what happens? How many of you have seen such a scenario yourself? that somebody was running for that purse, or people were running for a purse. Have you ever seen, even if in videos, have you seen that? So if you haven't, what happens once everybody starts to cry, to run, so not cry, run, people will gather and somebody would say, let us hand over this guy to police. And few people in few countries, I don't know about all the countries, few countries, people would even beat him there. And while few people are beating the guy, few people would say, no, don't do that. Why are you doing that? So they'll have conflicts in between each other. Somebody would say, hand him over to police. Somebody would say, let him go. We've gotten the purse. Somebody would say, hand him over to authorities. Somebody would say, let us kill him. Let us beat him, whatever. So now what happens is a team has formed. Now they are storming. Have you heard of Tuckman's 4 levels model? Forming, storming, norming, performing. So the team was formed and now they're storming. What should be the right way? Yeah. And when they start to storm, then somebody would say, let's just do this. Let him go or hand him over or get the purse and do whatever. Now they start to perform on what they decide to do. Now the performing has happened. So you see how forming happened as a team? Yeah, and how storming happens as a team, and how the team got created out of a group. So that's one example of group and team. And another example, a department has got sales members who are supposed to work on, let's say, there are 10 members in the team and they're supposed to work on getting 10 customers every month. Now there are, out of 10 people, 3 people do it every time and they speak to each other, they perform very well, they are very good friends to each other. The 7 people are not able to meet the target. And they're not approached by higher performers. Higher performers believe that they can never do it and let's not help them. Why should we help them? Rather help ourselves and achieve this target. And let's not worry about others. Within the team, there's a group that exists now. And there are 2 groups that are existing. Yeah, because the team is not about the number of people together. Team is also about how they relate to each other. Yeah, so a group is created within teams. Now, as coaching the group, so are we clear between what's the difference between teams and groups and how teams or groups functions? Any questions from so far what you've heard? I can only take 2 questions or write on the chat box. No question? Very good. Now, when we work as group coaches, we need to first of all decide on the topic or on the subject, what are we group coaching on, or are we coaching, what we're coaching the group on. If you do not know that, you will not be able to create group coaching packages. Now, a lot of you have written answers in chat box. Apart from that, common group coaching programs, even for weight loss, for health management, for time management, for personal effectiveness, all of these, or even relationship management, stress management, you can have group coaching programs on multiple things, and you can always do it even what you do currently, and you can create a group coaching program. Once you have decided what is your subject, you must consider the whole package, and I'm going to share my screen and show you the steps in the core elements of group coaching. Now, you must have something called pre-programming or pre-programmed material. So before the program starts, you must have something to engage with the group. Then you should have first session, and then ongoing sessions, and then final session, and then the post program. Now, why is it that I'm saying first session, ongoing sessions, and final session? So if you notice, first and last sessions are mentioned different because there are different things that we do there. And ongoing sessions could be 3, 4. So let's say if you are creating 5 sessions group coaching program, first is a first session and the last is your final session, and 3 are ongoing sessions. That's how you create them. If you're doing a 7 coaching sessions for the group, then first and last, and then 5 sessions, 5 ongoing sessions. You can have 6, whereas 4 ongoing sessions, first and the 6th one is your first and last session. And that's how you create them. What is post program? We will talk about that as well. Now, what is contracting? If you're offering a public program, for example, Coach Transformation does, where you look at our website, you contact us, you understand there's not really a contracting that is happening, but more of a consultation happening, more of an information given to you, that this is the process, this is how you do. So that's exactly how you will do for your clients. But contracting would be where you've got a corporate client and you need to customize it for them. So you probably need to understand what are their specific needs out of that program, and how will you manage, how will you create the package, and how will you run the whole intervention. Now, my first group coaching program, I remember that I delivered was, so I used to do trainings before that. I used to do facilitation and coaching, but not group coaching. In 2012, so those probably who are from India, they would know there was like a world-known, I don't know if I should say that, but there was a rape case in 2012 that was called as Nirbhaya case. If you Google that, you'll find information, Nirbhaya case. And what company wanted me to do was create a group coaching plan and let women that they had chosen to undergo group coaching for women empowerment and safety. So I consulted with the organizations, what are the requirements, what is the expectations at the end of the program, and what we will offer to them. So it was an ongoing program for about 3 months with 7 sessions in it. And we did 2-hour session every 15 days. And then at the end, we did 1 session, which was 7 session towards the final session that we did. So a group coaching program can be also on what you deliver, or if somebody requests you to prepare a program, to create a program and then deliver it as well. So you can customize it, and corporate would go for a lot of customizations basis their need. Now, and that's where a contracting needs to happen. What are you looking for? How many days? And I wouldn't say just contracting, but contracting and customizing. Yeah. In public programs, you don't do so much of contracting. You'd rather do more of a consulting. That what will you get? What's the program benefit for you? Now, let's understand, when you create a program, how do you create? So one thing that you need to know, you should have program aims, program objectives, and the learning outcomes of the program. Now, what is the difference? Who can tell me what's the difference between aims, objectives, and learning outcomes? I'm going to stop sharing the screen. What do you think are learning aims? Please write in the chat box, or if you want to speak, you can speak as well. What are learning aims? Am I audible?
Yeah,
Okay, thank
this
you.
is Amani speaking.
Yes, Amani, go ahead.
Yes, the aim of any program, it's the big picture, what exactly they want to get out of this program. Like, for example, you said about they want to empower women and raise awareness about issues like raping. And the main objectives of the program, exactly they want to see what are the main areas that they need to address so that women can become aware about. And when it comes to the learning outcomes, I need them to acquire certain skills. So this is going to be the outcome where I'm going to measure and ensure that the way the targeted audience, they did acquire what the program aimed for in particular or in specific.
Absolutely, absolutely. So aim is a big picture. Yeah, what's the outcome or what's the vision of the program? Yeah, and that also is used like an executive summary. Yeah, objective is more on the specifics of the program, that what specific material or model is used in the program and how will this journey look like. That's outcome. Sorry, objective. Now, learning outcomes are the specific skills developed at the end of the program. So, for example, if you're saying that after this webinar today, you'll be able to create your your group coaching program. That's your outcome. Or you'll be effectively be able to create your own customized coaching group coaching program. That's the outcome. So outcome is very specific in terms of capabilities and skills built after or at the end of the course. Okay, so going back to the presentation, and so when we're creating a group coaching plan, we must write that as the introduction or as the pre-program details for our participants, the group members to look at. Yeah. Now, when you're creating material before the program, one of the models that I suggest, and you can probably find on Google as well, I just took a picture and then I pasted here today. One of the very common model for designing instructions for your group coaching program is called as ADDIE model. Yeah. For example, the ADDIE model. Now, ADDIE model, A in ADDIE model stands for analysis, D for design, another D for development, I for implement, and E for evaluate. So analysis in ADDIE model stands for really analyzing who will you deliver, what will you deliver, when will you deliver, what will be the outcome, what will be the pricing, what will be the objective, budgeting, all of that is part of the analysis. Yeah. Now, design is like when you create a learning syllabus or a training agenda, the syllabus or the outline is your design. So you first design what all topics will you cover, what will be the duration, what will be the methodology. So would you deliver online, would you deliver face-to-face, would you do it through showing them a video, would you deliver it through a presentation, would you do a whiteboard presentation, will you do some training activity, will you do some kind of will you make them listen to an audio? So you design the outline of how and what will you deliver. So what do you deliver and the topics and how will you deliver those topics. Now development is basically now further developing it, and further development would mean a detailed presentation, a user or a participant manual, handouts, and really creating the end user material. which will include everything that they would need to have, and you will need to have as a coach and as a coachee, what all material would be used. That's under development phase that you create. And then implementation is the real coaching sessions when you start to work with them. Yeah. And then evaluation is how will you evaluate your program basis your student review, basis some assessment or assignment. How will you evaluate? So you design that as well. Now, I am going to talk about a few of them in detail, and that will also give you idea of how can you go about creating your group coaching package in terms of how can you evaluate and for even implementation. So are we clear with ADDIE model, and we understand how does it help in creating a group coaching package or a program? Good. Now, when you start a group coaching session, you must be ready to understand that whatever you will deliver, people are going to see the same thing, people are going to hear, people are going to say and do the same thing, think and feel, but few people are going to get some pain and few are going to get some gain. And what does that mean? Is while I'm right now teaching you, some of you are going to enjoy, some of you are not going to enjoy. Few people from here are trying to understand what have I just said, and few people are really focused in understanding each and every step. So you need to understand that while you will deliver the same content to everyone, but the takeaways are going to be different. And how can you bridge this gap and really make it an effective program which suits everyone, which is liked by everyone, which is understood by everyone, and which has greater takeaways for everyone, is what you must consider. And therefore, when you're creating a group coaching program, make sure you are including all three elements of human modalities. So which means visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Don't just do a whiteboard presentation. Don't just do a presentation like this one that you're just going through the slides. Don't just do a video only throughout, and don't just have a dialogue. So create a mix of all of that. And I'm going to give you a few ideas later. How can you do and what can you do? The idea here is to understand that try and consider and accommodate everybody in your group coaching delivery methodology. Yeah. Now, coaching sessions are not very different than what you've learned in CTA, the A4 model. When students or when your group members, they come to learn, you design agreements. And how do you design agreements? I will talk about that in a while. You create awareness as a group coach for them. They create action plans and they create accountabilities. So it's exactly a model even for group coaching. So now, how do you do agreements? We're going to talk about that in some time. Now, I've written a few questions, and this is how I do. I think last two are not so relevant right now for you. What brought you here? And once you've learned, what are you expected to deliver? So let's take an example from chat box, or for example, let's have, some of you gave you example, personal effectiveness, somebody said on the chat, Kate, personal effectiveness, that she is going to prepare a group coaching program on personal effectiveness. Now, this is my first call with you on personal effectiveness. I'm not going to start with my content. I'm going to create agreement. And what are a few questions that I will ask you? What brought you here? What are you expected to deliver? Now, don't assume that what brought you here, they would know. not everyone by personal effectiveness, even though they might have read through your program aim, objective, outcomes, other material, the website, brochure, everything. But these answers can be surprising. Now, what brought you here? What are you expected to deliver? Is basically to understand once they have learned personal effectiveness, how will you deliver it to yourself if that's the program? Yeah. How will this benefit to you and your immediate ones? Yeah. How do you take the responsibility of honoring the learning? Yeah. How do you take the responsibility that what you've learned, you will apply? Yeah. So all these questions are part of agreement when you're coaching the whole group. Now, once you've set the right agreement, awareness. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Now, the part which says awareness is delivered through multiple ways. So one of the common ways is you can even present a slide which has some model, which has some tool or some technique for them. And hence group coaching would include around 10 to 20% of facilitation or training. So you teach them on a model or you talk about few researches or whatever you have gotten for them that you've prepared in the group coaching program. You present it to them and you ask them, what are you learning and how will you apply this when you are learning or becoming more effective personally? So you then have a dialogue with the group and now you're creating the awareness in the group by having the dialogue. So, but then don't make it like a full training thing. It could be 90 minutes. 90 minutes is a very good time for group coaching. 75 minutes to 90 minutes is the duration generally for group coaching. And this part should not be more than 15 minutes or 20 minutes, maximum 20 minutes. I would still recommend to keep it 15 minutes. If you have to present some topic, some model, some tools around it. And then you close the presentation and then you have a dialogue with everyone that what have you learned, what are you personally taking away and how will you apply or what do you think you will be able to do it better or how will you implement this for yourself. And having a group dialogue, you will say, what are you now learning more about yourself? Yeah. Listening to each other, what is different emerging for you? Yeah. How the discussion from each other contributing to your awareness. So all these questions that you ask to create awareness in the group, and this is exactly how you run all the sessions in group coaching. Now, each session would end with action and accountability, which I'm going to talk in some time and share with you how does that work. Now, any questions so far?
Dr. Harris?
Yes, please.
In terms of rapport, now should the coach stand or sit if there is a group coaching?
Depends. I mean, it really depends upon your style and how you said stand or sit, right?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So I think you must have seen me as well when I'm training in classroom. I stand when I'm teaching a model or something, but I sit down with you all in a circle when I'm coaching you, or when I'm asking you questions and facilitating a group dialogue, and kind of just bring you all at the same place as a coach and the members or the coachee. So when you're having a dialogue, maybe sit down, or when you are teaching a model, maybe then you'd have to stand.
I have two questions.
Yeah, so Rola and then Sana, please raise hand. That will be easy for me to just look at everyone's. Yeah, Rola.
Yeah, so let's say we have 5 sessions, okay? do we have to make a short presentation of 15 minutes for every session and then get the discussion started?
No, so right now, I'll tell you how do you check in. We have not worked on check-in. So you start with check-in, you start with accountability, and you ask with what actions were taken from last session to this session. And then you set agreement for the current session, and then you do the presentation.
I did not get you. I thought that the presentation is at the beginning of the session.
No, maybe
And
just
then
give me
we
another
start
10 minutes because next slide will
Okay.
make it easy for you.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, Anna.
Okay. My first question is regarding the agreement. Like it has to be in one-to-one coaching, we read the mind of an individual. So in a group coaching, we'll go individually, or how we will sort this out with the group. And
So with the group you use a flip chart, or if you're doing virtually, you use a Word document and you share with everyone, like we do in our program as well. You should do a screen share and you ask everyone to contribute to that agreement. So you do it from everyone, asking what are you expecting, what do you want to accomplish, what's the meaning of this, of learning personal effectiveness for you is, all those questions, and you should make it mandatory that everyone should respond to the question and contribute to the agreement.
And my second question is, how would you create a synergy, like in a group? Because there are different shades, there are different reflections of individuals. How would you, as a coach, what mindset you should have? Because you have to be multifunctional. You have to be
right. So that's my last slide, and that should answer your question.
Thank you, Dr. ADDIE.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I think I'll move forward. If you have questions, please write on the chat box and I'll take it forward. Okay. Now, generally, let's talk how does it work. So pre-program, you may want to set up a call with people just to understand them more, like a 15 minutes quick talk with them, to know more about them and explain them about the program, and share like a discovery session that you do in one-to-one coaching. You may do a 15 minutes quick pre-program call as a discovery session to understand about their learning styles, to understand about themselves, their expectations, and you can share about yourself and the logistics and a little bit about the program. The first call that you do in group coaching should have a lot of emphasis on what are you planning to take away, and how will you be accountable between the two sessions to work on whatever assignments or field work is given. These are two important things you must focus on on the first call. Yeah. Let me repeat again. Yeah. First session, agreement is very important. Second is how will they hold themselves accountable to work on the action plan which is set for between calls, or which is agreed on between calls. Now, in between or when they start a coaching session, and that's exactly, Rola, your question was around. So every time you start a coaching session, you must start with check-in and ask them. Now, this is from the second session, I'm saying, what do you want to celebrate about your accomplishments since we last met? So a couple of questions to check in. So one question, what do you want to celebrate about your accomplishments? What are you looking forward to this call or this week? And what is the theme area you want coaching on? So now you check what has changed from the last learning to this week. What are your reflections on what you did? How do you want, is there anything that you want us to address now from the last week till today? What will be more useful for us to bring this session forward or bring this learning forward. So these are a couple of check-in things that you do when you start a coaching session. And then you say, so today's session is going to be about this, and what from here would you want to focus on? So again, you introduce the topic of the second session, and then you set some agreements. What will be more helpful for you to learn around this? What can help you to learn better today? So that is like, we probably last time we had a lot of presentation. This time maybe we should have a dialogue, or this time we want to do something different. Have a discussion with each other. So what in this session would you like to do differently, or is there something? Is there a different approach that you want to work on? So these are all during the call sessions. Now, in between the sessions, you must be very familiar with a lot of methodologies of delivering the group coaching program. Now, what do I mean by that? You should know how to do Zoom breakouts if you're doing virtually. You should know how to use reactions on Zoom. You should know how to, there are times you can even use multiple cards to show them something to stop. So for example, if somebody is talking a lot in the group, and you can probably set that as an agreement that if you control my class, if you control my session, if I show you maybe this poster, it means you stop there. So something like that, I mean, make it more fun, use different methodologies during the session. Don't keep it just one specific style of doing group coaching. Means not just the presentation, not just the discussion, but multiple variations. Now, so you have shown them a presentation, you've asked them a few questions around awareness, you've asked them questions which are related to new learnings, new insight and awareness, and then you get on to action planning. Yeah. So learning this, what are you committing to do? One question for action planning. Learning this, how do you plan to implement in your world? Yeah. Becoming more aware about these things, what first change will you make? And they all write it on a piece of paper or on a document, Word document or something. And you can ask, so I'm also going to share with you what tools can you use to collaborate. They can probably use a WhatsApp group and ask them to write it there so that it doesn't get lost later. And I can speak to you around your plan. You can write it in, so there are multiple tools for group coaching, which I'll share in a while, and you can ask them to write there as well instead of using a pen and paper. I sometimes tell them to write an email, initiate an email right now and write your action plan instead of sharing with us on Zoom chat or just sharing it with us by speaking and telling us. So maybe they can initiate an email immediately and they can keep writing their action plan and they just click on send once the discussion is over. So ask them, what actions will you take and what are you committing to do now? This is my favorite question I generally ask at the end. So learning this, what can you commit to do between now and the next call or the next session? Also ask them what worked in this session, how do you want to work in the next session, and all of that is part of your checkout questions. I generally ask, what's the energy you are leaving with the call? You're leaving the call with. This is a common question, and what I'm trying to figure out is how excited and motivated they are in doing what they've learned. So what energy are you taking away? Now, in between each sessions, you may want to have some touch points, which could be through email, Facebook, private groups, pages, or you can have an email group. Gmail allows you to create a group. So you can have a Gmail group there. You can also create buddies and partners and accountability partner. And that's always a good idea. Let's say you've got 8 people and ask to become study buddies and say who will be accountable for whom, to check in and check with each other whether they have done this or not. So that's also a good way to create accountability and utilize the group for each other than you only as a group coach working out and reaching out to everyone. So study buddies helps for creating accountability in the group. Now, few things to remember is when you're evaluating your group coaching intervention, you must have some mechanisms around or some kind of evaluation process that tells you whether your group coaching sessions or program is working well for people or not. So there's a very famous model of evaluation called Kirkpatrick model of learning evaluation. Some of you may be aware of that, which is so it has 4 layers of evaluation. So first one is a reaction. So reaction is you ask them, all right, so at the bottom of the Zoom, you see reactions there, and whoever liked what you've learned today, they do a clap, they press on the clap one there, and let me see that. Now, this is really evaluating through reactions. Do you see reactions at the top? Yeah, and you clap like this, and this is the reaction evaluation. You are checking then and there, how was it for them? Or sending them a small form saying, how was it on a scale of 1 to 2? The session was great, rated on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being least and 5 being highest. And these are reactions of people. So that's one way of evaluating your group coaching sessions. The other way is learning. Probably assign some assessments or ask them to do a survey, ask them to do a poll or something which tells you they have learned. Now, not all group coaching sessions will have assessment. You may do it for things like you're teaching them on presentation skills, you're teaching them on crucial conversations or conflict resolution. You may have some assessment, but apart from that, you may not really be able to do it. Now, the third level of evaluation is called behavior. Behavior means you ask them, what have you changed personally in your behavior after the session? Yeah. And then the fourth one is results. You ask them what results or what metrics have improved. Yeah. So let's say if it's a weight loss program or a sales strategy or a marketing or a branding or whatever, what was your number this week and what's the number at the end of the intervention? So really quantifying the pre and post. And that gives you a very clear assessment of your own group coaching program. Yeah. Avi, any questions so far? Rola, have I now answered your question that how the structure will work?
Yeah, doctor, but my question was, I understood all what you said. The thing is that imagine we have 5 sessions. It's just, do I need to give them some material at the beginning of every session to initiate the discussion? So this is my 15 minutes of training for them and then the discussion.
Thank you for that question. And
is that correct?
I think I should clarify. You must create a small PDF or a Word document for each session. Group coachings generally do not have a manual like a training program manual. But a group coaching do have each session's handout. And you should send them. So let's say today is Tuesday. I close the session today. And I should, after the session, should send you a handout for the next session.
Okay. Yeah.
Or what is the material? So like a 2 to 3 page or 4 page maximum material. And I include a form as well. And in that form, I also ask them, what worked well on our last call, what did not work, or how you want to see the difference. And then here is the reading material, which is like not more than 1 or 2 PDF page or a Word document page, and maybe some forms. What are you expecting in the next call? And maybe write what have you changed, what have you implemented, what has worked for you. That kind of a document. And when you're teaching or training or facilitating some topic, you don't create really a presentation. You use the same PDF document and Word document and refer to that and talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, a couple of things as group coaches. I've got exactly 4 minutes left, and I'm going to use it for my last slide. And this is the last slide. Now, a few things you need to really work on, and that was a question Sana had asked, and I'm answering them here because we run a team coaching program. We call it a team transformation program, or team transformation coach program. And there are certain beliefs and principles. We have really done research through appreciative inquiry and Gottman's relationship systems matrix. We have found out a couple of common beliefs that a coach needs to work on. So for example, you all would know when we start a one-to-one or individual coaching program, we start with CTA belief of excellence, right? We start with a couple of values. So similarly, few beliefs and values that you must consider understanding before you get into group coaching. And one thing is that group exists to produce a result. This belief you need to really believe in, because what happens if you do not believe that everyone wants to get good result, you may create some biases for people. So believe that everyone in the group exists to produce result. And group is a living system. It's not just the members alone are living individuals, but group as a whole is a living system. It means the space in between the members is part of the system, and what kind of relationships they are creating with each other, that creates and that decides what kind of a living system is created. So let's say you all come to training with CTA for a CPC or SCPC or any program, you all say we are a very good group. We really enjoy working with each other. Yeah. And because now you are a living system as a whole, you're not individuals anymore, you are a group which is a living system. And everyone wants to be on a high performing team and want to contribute. So in a group, everyone wants to contribute. So make sure you respect that and give opportunities equally to contribute. And the group has a solution to every problem. So while they're asking questions to you, you might want to engage with the rest of the group and say, what's their opinion? So if group has a question, group also has a solution. You got to give the opportunity to group to listen to their perspective. Somebody would have an answer to. And that way you are coaching than just training or facilitating. Couple of principles. Now, in group or team coaching, please know that the client is not the individual. The client is the whole group. And therefore, let's say right now, let's say Lynn is at the top of my screen. So Lynn is asking me, for example, too many questions. I might want to tell Lynn, can we take it offline? Because my client right now is the whole group. And I need to make sure that I am working in the interest of my entire group. That's my client, not just individual. Again, group is creative, resourceful, and whole. Yeah. And we coach the whole system and the team relationship. It's a little difficult one to understand in short, but you need to know when you're coaching the group, you are not just coaching them or the whole group, but you're coaching between the group as well. So let's say Lynn and Lillian are on my top of the screen. I'm not coaching them together as my group, but I'm also coaching what's between them as group members. Might be a little difficult one to understand, but you'll get there. Just keep thinking about it. And you should engage the territory of the dialogue as the client. Now, what does that mean? For me, I should not have a dialogue with individuals, but I should have dialogues with the group together. If I'm not having, probably I'm losing, or I'm going to really impact the trust and intimacy in the group. If you really want to have a great display of trust and intimacy, you need to make sure that you have the dialogue with the whole territory, whole field of the group, than just group members. Yeah. Now, reveal the system to itself as a principle. It means, and this is the last point, and I'm going to stop sharing screen. So, for example, Rola, are you okay if I take your example of your question?
Yes.
Now, reveal the system to itself means if Rola asks me a question and says, Haris, I'm not clear on this, it means she is not really revealing her doubt to me. She is revealing the doubt of the system. It means this exists in the system. If one is not understanding, there is somewhere system is not understanding. And similarly, when we are going to corporate and individual members say, we need to really work on one of the policies of HR or one of our policies of this. It's the system that they're voicing out. Anything that comes from the group belongs to the system, belongs to their relationship, has a space in between them. Always remember, anyone speaking positive, negative, good, bad, ugly, awesome, whatever, belongs to the system. So there's somewhere coach do not listen. So make sure coach is not listening to individual, but coach is listening to the whole system. Okay. And that's the listening skills that we talk in team coaching or group coaching. With this, I will leave it to your questions, and I would also want to see you on video so that I feel better, you know. I like to see you guys on videos. So any question, thought? Thank you. Is there any minimum and maximum number in the group? ICF, 10 people is for group, maximum 10 people. If you want to count that for group coaching for ICF, they should not exceed to 10 people. Otherwise, I would recommend not to have more than 12 or 14 maximum. And you must also decide basis the content of the program. So let's say you have an exercise which requires 3 people, multiple exercises require. So you must have something in odd numbers. You probably need 11, you probably need 9, or you need 7, or whatever. But if you have all the exercises where you need 2 people or 4 people together, maybe then the even numbers. So that will decide how many people should you. Ideally, do not go more than 12. Any other question? And let me ask you this. Learning group coaching, what are you committing to do?
I think I've discovered one thing in terms of listing out what I am going to do. I think listening is something that we need to work on. It's a skill and it needs to be developed more. It can be a subject as well, because the kind of things that I'm reading and going through, I've just come across John King writing, and he has really emphasized on this. And the kind of reading that I'm going through, listening is is strategic, and we need to implement that in our organization, in our life, personal lives, in our education system. So yes, something that I want to, that excites me, and it has a different level of understanding if you once develop that. So yes, for group coaching, for teamwork, listening, not just verbally, it's all about listening it onto different levels, onto different streams, onto different pathways, so that it can go a long way. It can be developed, and yes, this is one thing that I would
Thank
want.
you. Thank you. Who else? What are you committing to do after learning this?
Yes, Harris, I want to thank you for the lovely presentation. I learned a lot. And since I work in the field of nutrition, I think this would be of great help to clients. It will offer like a group support, and like they are going through the same thing, and it will improve the application of the knowledge.
Though I can share the presentation today, but if you give me a day's time, I can probably give you some more material, like handouts and what all you need to use while you are coaching the group. So how do you do in-between check-in? There's a form that you ask everyone to fill before the class. So all of that material, I'll have to just pull that together. By tomorrow, I think I can share it in the Facebook group, and you can have a look at that. One thing that I did mention, and I did not say that, for group collaboration, you should use a tool called Almighty Networks. I have used that for a lot of group coaching intervention. Let me just write it. Almighty Networks. That's a good tool, basically to work on group collaboration and speak. I mean, to create. This tool is basically used for what do you call? To collaborate with each other. You can also use recently this. I have not used it, by the way. There's another app called Microsoft Kaizala, which recently I've started to use. It's a good app to use to collaborate, and it has a lot of options there. You can do a checklist, you can do the check-in, you can do multiple things. You can create a calendar, multiple things can be done there. You're right, Nandita. It is very different in the context, and it does need immense coaching presence, and it also needs a very global listening than just individual listening. To listen to the whole system than listening to the individual.
So are there specific skill builders for a group coaching as well?
Maybe I can send you some reading material for you to build further on your skills. There's one book by Jennifer Britton called One-to-Many Coaching One-to-Many. That's a good book to start with, and I have some chapters of that book which she sent it to me, and I have the permission to forward. I can forward it to you guys.
Thank you.
So Dr. Harris, you're going to share with us materials, I think you said, right? You'll share with us some of your notes and materials?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
will.
will.
Thank
you. Okay. Anything else before we close for today?
Dr. Harris, can you spell the name of the tool, please?
Yeah, I'm writing it here on the chat box for you. I'll give you the URL. So this is it's like Microsoft Teams, but much more effective for group collaborations. Then you have Microsoft Teams, you can use that as well. Then Kaizala, Microsoft Kaizala. This is also a good tool to collaborate. So guys, thank you so much for coming in today. I'm assuming there are no questions, and that's a good space to end when people are settled. Yeah. Thank you so much. We will see you next week, Tuesday. And any questions, please feel free to write. Okay? And maybe write on Facebook group so that if there are more questions by different people, they all can listen to those, read those questions and the answers. Thank you and bye for today. Enjoy.
Thank you. All right.